The soldier recounting the events of this encounter doesn't give his name, so we're going to call him Mike. Quantico Marine Base. Over 86 square miles of various training facilities, not only for the Marines, but the FBI and the DEA as well. Mike has been an MP at Quantico for about 2 years when this story takes place. And whenever he's on the night shift, he always raises his hand for roving unit duty. Basically, that means he gets to drive around that 86 square miles of training areas, forests, lakes, unused back roads, and old cemeteries, along with plenty of forgotten training areas dating back to World War II. The area is so massive, it would take 2 or 3 hours just to drive around it. And his shifts are like 10 hours long, but he likes it because it gives him the opportunity to check out promising spots to hunt or fish on his days off. He's the only one out there, so he can pretty much go wherever and do whatever he wants. Mike is not a stranger to the woods or the outdoors. He grew up running around and hunting in the mountains of Southern California when he was a kid, including a ton of nights out camping by himself in his teens. So there's not much out there in nature that freaks him out. One night in November, it's already dark when he starts heading up to a far-off training area. He's got a tree stand out there with a trail cam, and he wants to check it out and see if the camera has anything interesting on it. To get up there, you got to drive about 30 minutes up one road and then another 15 on another road until you hit this long dirt road. Around in this area, communications always suck, which means his radio usually doesn't work, which means he's pretty much on his own. Mike parks his Durango on an offshoot road, grabs his flashlight, and starts heading into the creek bottom about a mile or so off the road. And he's done this a ton of times, so it doesn't take him long to get to his spot. He grabs the chip out of the trail cam and hops up into his tree stand to pop it into his laptop and take a look. Not even 5 minutes into flipping through the pictures, most of which are just some turkeys hanging around, he hears someone walking through the woods about 30 yards in front of him. Now, considering he's patrolling one huge military training facility, having some officer in training get lost doing night land navigation isn't all that uncommon. So he silently delights in his chance to punk and scare the crap out of this guy from up in his stand. He shuts his laptop, turns off his flashlight, and tries to see where the person is. He hears the person walk closer and closer and then stop about 20 yards in front of him. At that point, his eyes have adjusted to the dark and the moon's pretty bright, so he can make out the outline of what looks like a deer. Damn. But Mike is kind of curious as to where it's heading, so he stays super quiet so he doesn't spook it. He watches the deer walk up to a tree and start slamming its head into the tree over and over until its entire skull cap is crushed and is leaking blood and brain matter. As Mike is just sitting there in shock, the deer stands up on its hind legs and turns towards Mike, staring directly at him, even though its eyes are now clearly useless. It speaks in the clearest voice Mike has ever heard in his life.
I know you're there.
Mike's stomach drops, but he's so frozen in fear he can't even think about drawing his gun. And as quickly as it had walked up, the deer creature drops back on onto all fours and walks away. Mike waits about 10 minutes, trying to reclaim some control over his shaking body before he leaves all of his stuff, including his laptop, climbs down from the stand, books it back to his patrol car, and grabs his shotgun. He gets back in his car, tears out of there, and spends the rest of the night in the lit parking lot of the base grocery store. Takes about a month before Mike can muster up the courage to go back and grab his laptop and stuff that was still in the tree stand. He makes sure to bring a friend. Doesn't tell the friend what happened, but tells him to bring his rifle. When they get there, Mike grabs his stuff and looks toward the area where he saw whatever that thing was. The tree is busted up with splinters everywhere and what looks like bone fragments and blood still splattered everywhere. Needless to say, Mike doesn't go checking out stuff in the middle of the night anymore, and he hunts on the complete opposite side of the base. Anytime he does need to go out to that area now, he always takes a shotgun in condition 1. Safety on, but a round in the chamber.